What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the One More Rep podcast. I'm your host. My name is Joseph Percher. As always, this video is brought to you by NutriBio Supplements, Crystals Bikinis, BioLongevity Labs, and RapidRxUSA.com. Check the description box for the links. Today, I am joined by the big dogs, Ty Jordan, Luke Pritchard. How are you guys doing? Luke, how are you, dude?
Hey, bro. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Good.
Same old shit.
Ty?
I'm doing good, man. To keep it real without sounding too dark, the cruise phase slash health phase, we kind of joke about that, but that's probably one of the only times of the year where bodybuilding kind of feels like work for me. And the reason that is because, the level of adherence doesn't really go anywhere, but
Right.
the return on investment obviously trails off considerably. In fact, I'm at that point where it almost seems like it's slowly going the other direction. So I'm ready to flip that switch, man.
What week are you? Six?
Week 5.
Week 5. Okay. Yep. That's like week
Mhm.
4 or 5, depending on what you're running and how much of it. It's like, dude, it
It's
sucks. People, I get messages from people and they're like, hey, like, how do you guys deal with being off or being on a cruise or whatever? And I'm like, man, I just do the same stuff, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't suck. Like, yeah, it
Right.
sucks.
It's just having long-term perspective. I mean, there's nothing we're
Yeah.
doing, others aren't doing it. It sucks. We're going through the motions, but
Yeah. But
mhm.
honestly, it can be. I've seen it with myself. I've seen it with other people. If you are like, I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting myself. I do think for the guys that treat it the way that we do, that's an okay time to have some balance. Like if you're going to go on a vacation, I think that's when it should be. If you're going to do off-plan meals, like that's kind of when it should be. But if you otherwise are pretty adherent, like some guys totally fuck off on a cruise, which I understand because it does suck. It's like discouraging mentally. But if you can hold it together, other than some like built-in like allowances maybe that you wouldn't do otherwise, it can really it's like the momentum of seasons all in a row. It can really set up a like a solidify, like you're going to be set up for a really good solidified off season,
For sure.
you know.
Yeah.
That's kind of where Big Luke is too. How are you doing, dude? What are you weighing?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm like 4.5 weeks, close to 5 now into like the actual official off season. So like everything's kind of kicking in like for real, for real.
I was
Um,
going to say, do you feel like you're on now?
yeah, I'm finally starting to feel like I'm on.
Yeah.
Um, the only thing that I struggle with in the off season is just my sleep, bro, honestly. Because like I've had a CPAP for years, but and I've tried different masks now at this point. I still struggle to wear the goddamn thing. Um, And it's weird because usually people obviously have like standard. I would say people usually talk about sleep struggles in prep more so than off season because I am more tired. Like I have the ability to fall asleep a lot easier in off season. But I actually sleep a lot better in prep until about like 3 weeks out when I'm just like
Yeah.
basically dead. Um, but it's just because, dude, I can't like when I'm going to sleep at like 290 something, like I can't fucking breathe, bro.
Fuck,
I
dude.
just can't breathe.
Hell yeah.
And so like I wear the goddamn CPAP, but it's so uncomfortable. And even
What are you doing
still,
right
it's
now? Do
like
you have a full mask?
so I had a full mask. Now I have
Yeah.
the nose one, and I like the nose one better.
Do you?
But it's still just like, dude, when you're just getting like flushed with air like that and you got a fucking tube on your head, like there's no way people like this stuff. I heard like everyone was always like, oh, it's gonna change your fucking life and this, that, and the
Yeah.
third. So I was so excited when I first got it. I was like, oh, this is gonna change
Yeah, me
everything.
too, dude.
It's been like 3 fucking years, and I'm still trying to figure out how to get through one night with the thing on my face.
Dude, I feel
I
like it's
It's
almost like
like,
a one for one with the people I hear that go through the CPAP experience of
mm,
not being able to get on with it at all. I feel like
yeah,
for every one guy that loves it, there's another guy that's it's chucked over in the corner. They're trying
bro,
to.
there are guys that say that they like it changed their life and they can't ever do a night without it.
that's what I'm saying. They won't go anywhere without it. It's like I'm like,
I
dude,
know,
like
dude.
I'm like, because I put it on. Don't get it twisted. Every night I get in
Yeah.
bed, I put this goddamn thing on my face. And so I'm trying, bro. I'm freaking trying.
I
But
get
like
it.
I can't like in the middle of the night, I'll rip it off without knowing, and I'll like feel a sense of relief. Like, oh, okay, like
Yeah.
get that shit off me. Now I can like sleep for real. But then I'm not actually sleeping because I'm choking on myself all fucking night.
Yes.
So it's like, and then I wake up and I feel like dog shit. and my
Yeah.
blood pressure's probably high from it. Like, so that's the one thing in the off season that like I really I feel like I missed the mark on, but it's not because I'm not trying. It's just because I can't fucking figure it out, bro.
Luke, do you
But
feel
that
like
just
you
comes
hit a
with the territory
threshold?
of being almost 300 pounds.
Luke, do you feel like you hit a threshold when you start dieting to where you almost don't even need that CPAP?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's
There are
that weight
plenty of
mark
times.
for
And I
you?
have the mouth guard too. I have that mouth guard too, which
Do you
if
think
my
that
nose
helps?
if my nose decides to work, yeah, but half the time my
Yeah.
nose doesn't work. So like if I can like close my mouth and nasal breathe, then the
Yeah.
mouth guard does help. I'll wake up in the morning and my jaw will be a little bit sore, but it does help. But half the time my nose is fucking
Well, I
jacked
was
up
going to
and
say
stuff.
that
So
before when you said that you're doing the nasal pillow. It does feel less overwhelming than the full mask. You
yeah,
feel the full mask is crazy, dude. Like
bro, it feels
I
like I'm
can't believe
dying.
like every night I'm like, I can't believe this is my life. Like that this is a
Yeah.
daily thing for me. But you are the same way as me where you're super congested. So
Yeah.
being that you put that thing on and it's forced, like the moment that goes on, you can only breathe through your nose. That bugs
Yeah.
me out. I start to feel like I'm choking and dying and shit. Worse on that, I recently have got a different full mask that I've never tried before, and it's like way more comfortable, dude, because I don't feel that nervousness that you're talking about, like where you're like, oh, I take it off and I feel relieved. That's because
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I almost feel like a heightened nervousness when it's on.
Yes, bro.
Um, but this full one has allowed me to breathe through my mouth. And I don't know what
Well,
that, and it's like not to be fucking weird, but the hose it pause is like right here, right? Instead of because I've had ones that are like up here and it's wacky. I sleep
yeah,
on my
no,
side and
mine's up
shit.
here. Mine's up
This
here.
one that's at the front of the face mask is actually nice because it just goes where you go. And then
Yeah.
also when I get up to piss, dude, I don't have to undo the whole thing. I just pull the
Bro,
tube out of it.
mine's up here, so I
I
fucking
hate
roll over
that.
and it fucking chokes me out like
No,
I'm in a
I
goddamn
hate that,
noose.
dude. Yeah.
And I'm the same way. Like, dude, that like the reason I've been preferring the nose one is just because my mouth is still like open to breathe air. It's not
Yeah.
like my whole face isn't like
Yeah.
fucking being suffocated. Like the first, because I started with the full face, and I remember like the first time I used it, I thought like it was broken or something because I was like, I can't breathe. Like I thought this was supposed to help me breathe. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm dying in here, bro.
Yes.
And like even when I use it, like, and I don't know, dude, at this body weight, like you do anything, you're out of breath, right? So it's
Yeah.
like by the time just like, getting all my shit together, getting in bed, and I finally like lean back and get in bed, I'm already breathing heavy. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's
Your
like
heart rate's
now I
up.
got
Yeah.
this, now I got this thing on. It's like limiting my ability to breathe. So half the time I'm falling asleep, I'll like just pull the thing up to try to get a
Yeah.
couple breaths and then like put it back on. And I'm like, this so I feel like I'm fighting for my life, bro. Like it's
Bro, I'm
just not
so
how you should be
not
sleeping.
I I want you to sleep well and I want you to get it, but I'm so glad that we've talked about this and that you lived through this too. Because it's an
Yeah.
every night thing for me. I'm like,
Bro,
fucking
every
hate
single
this.
fucking night.
Yeah.
And that was why, like, that's the same, like, say, I feel the same way because everyone else, like, before I got it, I had clients, I had like lifestyle clients that were just like heavy dudes.
Yeah.
And dude,
Yeah.
one of my guys was like, he's like, I'd rather never have sex again than sleep without my CPAP. And I was like, oh, all right. So this is going to change my fun. And I'm like, I was so
You know
excited.
he's not going home to somebody that's exciting.
Exactly. Yeah. But like, I was like that. And no, it's not, dude. I
No,
can't
no, it's
sleep.
definitely not like that. No, hell no.
Definitely not like that.
Uh
So,
Ty,
real
what
quick,
about you?
you
Have you
guys,
ever had issues?
I'm sorry, me?
Yeah, or did you just
Yeah.
acclimate to it?
Yep. So I kind of find that I'm in that crux where I hit a certain threshold every single off season, and almost immediately once I get over that, roughly 290 mark, I feel like that's where it hits me. That's when
Yeah.
the quality starts to decline. The resting heart rate seems like it's elevated. But admittedly, I've never been in that state long enough to follow through with the process of getting the device because I feel like as soon as the weight comes down,
Mm,
me, it's like as soon as I'm back around 280 and less, I sleep like a baby. Now,
man,
my
that's nice.
yeah, she does tell me I do snore,
Yeah.
but neither of us are under the belief that I have the obstructive sleep apnea where I'm waking up, choking myself,
You
having
would know. You would
right,
hundred
No,
percent
mine,
know.
right.
yeah,
I
bro.
wake up
My
very,
shit,
I wake up
I've
very
had
refreshed.
people scared for my life. Like,
Yeah.
like Man, it ain't like a snore. It's like a
No, if
fucking
anyone else is around, it sounds like you're dying. It sounds like you're
dude.
choking.
And you
It
don't
doesn't
really
sound like
know.
someone's just asleep and snoring. Like, you know the
Yeah.
difference with someone's just peacefully sleeping versus it feels like you're being like waterboarded or something. Like it feels
Bro.
like you're
And dude,
drowning.
and there's yeah, and you'll wake up at times literally like like
Yeah.
literally like you've just been drowned and like you're
Yeah.
fighting for your life. And like I
Yeah.
at first, like because when you're sleeping, you don't hear yourself, right? I've even caught myself sometimes snoring like as I'm kind of awake, like starting to fall
Yes.
asleep on the couch or something. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
You like
But
catch yourself. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like starting to fall asleep and all of a sudden I'm going like and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
It wakes
Like
you up.
I'm not even
Yeah.
sleeping yet. Yeah. But
Yeah,
like
I'm pretty at
I
peace
had
with
like
the fact that I'm going to be a
with my
snorer.
girl. Well, go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, I'm pretty at peace with the fact that I'm going to be a snorer at this size, but so long as I don't have the obstructive apnea, I'm probably going to continue to pass on
You
the
would
machine.
know, dude. You would
And
wake up and not feel rested like you do.
right,
Like you're
Oh
such a
shit.
big
I get
guy,
up at
dude.
5:15 every morning. I don't have the
Yeah.
bloodshot eyes. I don't have the puffy face. I feel pretty energetic.
Nice.
I feel like for
Does
me,
your
the
throat
biggest,
ever fucking kill? Like hurt just like you've been
Like it's dry.
only in maybe
yeah.
the couple of instances where I knew I had a bout of the sleep apnea, but they're far and few between. And I know for me too, the biggest detriment to my sleep is usually the nasal congestion. So I'm huge on the nose strips, man. I cannot sleep
Yeah.
without strips. In
Dude,
fact,
that's all of
Mine too.
us.
I
I
usually
feel
start
like
them on like an hour before bed just to get everything opened up
which
before I
ones?
go up
Do you have
there.
the intake ones?
I use the Breathe Right ones, man, just the cheap ones from.
Okay.
Actually, I think we get them from Costco in bulk now.
Okay. Right
Yeah,
on.
just the Breathe Right extra
No, have
strength.
you used the intake?
I've used it. Yeah.
Are they worth it?
Man, I don't know, dude. I don't really feel like any of it does anything. But I think that
Yeah.
I'm like on, Ty said that he gets great sleep and he wakes up and feels rested and stuff.
I feel
I'm
like I'm
not
more
that
like you.
person. I'm not that person. So something, Ty, for you, like one little thing and it gives you 5%, it's worth it, man. Hey, you really notice it. For me, it's so bad that like, these things that make little, potentially could make a little bit of a difference. I still feel like a lot of times, dude, I will be in bed for 9.5 hours. And instead of waking up and feeling like, oh man, nice, I'm really rested. I feel like I was just fighting for my life for 8 hours.
I
Like I
am
felt like I
exactly
was
like you.
running from something for 8 hours.
I'm exactly like you. I feel like I need to go back to sleep to recover from whatever the fuck I just did.
1,000%, dude. There's times where
Yeah.
I train after meal too. So what I do is I wake up, I do my vacuums, my little walk, I eat, and a lot of times I just go right back to bed after meal one. Because,
I'll
dude,
do that by
after that
accident.
full night of not feeling rested, if I have to go do something after meal one, like, and it means I don't get to do that little nap, whether it's train because we have something going on later in the day, I feel terrible. I'm like, what? I have to go
Yeah.
do this like at a high level,
Yeah.
or even if it's something I got to go drop something off or something. I'm like, bro, I
Yeah.
am half asleep behind this wheel of this
Yeah.
car right now.
Hey, Joe,
Yeah.
but
I'm just I
to that
Go ahead.
point, I've heard a lot of bodybuilders that are in position to basically write their own schedule and put bodybuilding first. And almost every single one of them that I've heard that's in that position does exactly what you do. They eat that meal
Yeah.
one, go right back to bed. It's almost like they start the day over on
Yeah.
that full meal,
Well, you get ahead of it too. Like we've all been there where you wake up late and you're behind on your food. It's like, man, you're stressed the whole day. Then your GI is stressed, you're stressed. So it's like I wake up at a good time, I go to bed at a good time, and if nothing else, even if I'm exhausted, I'll get up and do my little morning tasks and get ahead of the day, like food wise, and then I can rest, even if it's an extra
That's
hour.
probably
Like,
the only thing that keeps me from getting the full 7 to 8 hours every single night is just the meal timing thing. And
yeah,
for me, at that point now where again, adherence isn't falling off any, but the desire to push the meals in, the training stimulus that makes the meals want to go down isn't quite the same. So
yeah,
some of these meals are taking 45, 50 minutes to eat. And I'm pretty religious on I will not start the clock for the next meal until like the last couple of bites go in because I'm
yeah,
pretty big on not stacking food. So that just
yeah,
pushes everything down the road a little bit.
yeah. Man, all right, let's do some questions. I feel like we just gave like the CPAP fucking sleep apnea anonymous speech here. So,
bro, but people need
um,
to hear that shit because
yeah,
like you said, Joe, like all I was hearing was how great and glorious this shit is, and I was like, what's wrong with me, bro? Like, why
yeah.
can't I figure this out? And I don't know. I just think
I don't want to say I got into an
everyone was one.
argument, but there's like an online debate, and like I commented on some post or whatever. I don't know why I even bother with any of this, but it was like, oh, like um if you've done both, you know that a deep cut is way harder than a real bulk. And I'm like, the only
Uh,
way that you would ever say this is if you were small. There's
Yeah.
nobody that's
And
really big that would ever say that would ever agree to that.
yeah. Was he small? For sure.
Of course he was small, dude. Like sub 200 pounds. Like, what are we talking about, dude? Like
Yeah. You don't even
Yeah.
know what
me and
real
the
bulk
me and
is.
the people that I hang out with and like want to look like are all 100 pounds bigger than you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do have one
Yeah.
more thing to say on the CPAP thing. It's really short before we get the questions
Yeah.
rolling. To anybody who just heard that whole monologue about the CPAP and says, man, getting big sounds terrible. I don't want to be big. Being big is fucking awesome.
It is awesome.
Being
Yeah.
big is fucking awesome. We put up with
Yeah.
a
I
little
ain't
bit of
gonna lie.
stuff big, but being big is fucking awesome. Don't get it
There's a
twisted.
cost to any of it, dude. You want to be good at anything. Like there comes a cost. So, you know,
Yep.
especially the three of us are all like, you guys are beyond me, but we're in a similar ballpark. It's, I'm sure there's a lot of people that listen to this and feel like they can relate. And there's not many of us in our day to day life. I don't have these conversations in my day to day life. Like, I'm not just
Right.
at Publix talking about the fact that all of us are so big that we can't sleep. Like,
Yeah.
you know, um,
But
so
this is
hopefully
I
it's
want to make
relatable. Like, yeah,
yeah, I want to make one more point too on this before to go off what Ty just said. There's a reason we're all big, and it's because it's fun, right? I wouldn't trade
it's
this
the
shit for the
best.
world, but
Yeah.
you've got to understand, like Joe said, like there is a cost for everything. The second that shit gets hard, or your sleep gets uncomfortable, or you're not as hungry for your food, if you really want to be big, you can't just run from it. You
Mhm.
can't run from these things. Like this comes with the territory. Like all three of us can relate on the same topic. So it's obviously a sign that being big means this is probably going to be part of what you have to deal with, whether it's as serious as what me and Joe have to deal with, or if you're lucky enough to kind of get away with things more like Ty. But like it's still going to be a part of something you have to manage. And the second that kind of, because I have clients that'll be like this too, right? Where like if we're in a growing phase or whatever, the second that like they're kind of full or they're a little uncomfortable or
It's always the
they're out of
appetite.
breath, it's
Yeah.
like man, I don't think this. I think we should start a diet, or like I don't think this is. I
Yeah.
think we're doing too much. I'm like, okay, no, you know what I mean? Like you just
Yeah.
at a certain point, like some of that biofeedback is good, but also just like you got to deal with it. If you actually want to be big, if you want to look pretty, that's a different story. If you want to be big, this comes with the territory.
Hey, Luke,
And
you're like 5'9", right? Or 5'10"?
I'm
no,
like
Luke's a
5'11".
monster. Really?
I'm
Bro,
like
I
5'11".
would
Yeah.
have guessed you were like 6 foot plus. I feel like
No.
you're
So what is it?
People think I'm that tall, but yeah, I'm like just under 6 foot.
Okay, so you're about my height. Okay, so I was gonna say there's a chance that when I get up over, 300 or 310, I do start to run into that because like I'm pushing like 6'1". So my
Yeah,
6'1" at 280 is
yeah.
not really the same thing, you know?
yeah, yeah.
Man, this is why you guys are the super heavyweight crew. These are some fucking big people. Like, but to your point, dude, this is one of the reasons why I said what I said about this post. Oh, like a cut is harder than a bulk. It's the answer lies somewhat in what you were just saying about how long it is. Like, if you want to get really big, you're going to have to live there for a while. This is not like 2 weeks at the end of a contest prep that really suck and then it's over. This is no, like if you want to be really big and change how your body physically looks and have it still look good, like you could eat a bunch of pizza and shit and it's a totally different story. But you get big on clean food and like push your body there, you just have to live there. The longer like the longer time that you can spend just living uncomfortably big, that's how you kind of reset what your normal is. Like these guys that are like, oh, it cuts way harder. It's like, okay, like the last 2 or 3 weeks of a cut really sucked. Like it might be 12 weeks. Dude, I still have 12 weeks of off season left and I'm uncomfortable. I'm bigger, I'm
Yeah.
heavier than I've ever been on the
I
scale,
got like
and I'm
20, bro.
uncomfortable, bro.
Let's
What?
also be
Yeah.
Yeah.
honest, there's a lot of tools coming into the equation that are going to make that process of getting into show shape a little bit easier. We don't need to go off the whole list, but
Yeah.
can't really think of anything that's coming up on the scene from an off-season perspective that's going to make my
No.
push 310 any easier. I
You
mean,
can't
from
run.
my
You
opinion,
can't run from this shit. That's my whole point. Like you can't run from this shit. And like Joe said, like that is exactly what makes. And I'm an eater, so like I actually and I like to train, right? And I like being
Yeah.
strong. So I like the off season, and I would still
Yeah.
say it's significantly harder because of two things primarily. Is what you just said, Joe? Like well, I guess two and a half is the fact that like when you're in prep and shit gets hard for the last 21 days, it's like, all right, I'm gonna fucking put my head down and find a way to get through this shit.
Yep.
When you're in all season, 95% of the time you're alive, you're uncomfortable. And it's for like months on end. And so
Yeah.
it's like there is no end. On top of that, and I know this doesn't really matter, but it kind of does, just like functioning, like I'm way it like I'm always tired from all the food or the GH or whatever else, right? I'm always out of breath. I can't do anything physical. If I'm on my feet for too long, I feel like I'll fucking die. Like, but in prep, like, even though sometimes that might be the case, you also get a little bit more understanding from like the general public, like, oh, he's getting ready for a competition, like he's okay, whatever.
Right.
When you're like eating 7, 8,000 calories a day, you're expected to be like happy and enjoying that. But it's not like after my first meal, like Joe, you said you go back and take a nap, go back to sleep. I do, but like half the time it's not intentional. I mean, I just
Yeah.
ate 130 grams of oats and two English muffins,
Yes.
and I'm gonna
Yeah.
fucking fall asleep with a bowl of oatmeal in my hand. Like I can't
Well,
help
I've
it.
just leaned into it. Every morning
Yeah,
I would eat and I'm like, damn, bro, I'm about to pass out. And so I
yeah,
just started to lean into it and say, oh, this is part of my schedule. Like,
yeah. It's
uh,
like clockwork, but
yeah,
it's just that like, and then obviously on top of that, one of the hardest parts is like visually, while you're still putting in all that work, you don't look as pretty as you do in prep. So
right.
that makes it
Well, in a
harder. But
cut, it's like, yes, as at your most, there are parts that are difficult, but at those most difficult points, you look fucking sick. You should look
yeah,
sick.
so it makes it like that. You get that reassurance of like, hey, this
Well,
is
it's
worth
like,
it.
hey,
You know what I
it's
mean?
worth doing this. I'll keep doing
Yeah.
this. It's like all season. It's just like a blind investment. Like you just have to
Yes.
do it, and it's not going to look good, and it fucking may not look good until the very end. And one way or another, whether it looks good right now or not,
Yeah.
you have to go do it. You have to make this deposit every single day. Like it
And
may or may not amount to anything.
that's exactly why it's harder. That right there like sums
Yeah,
up exactly why it's harder because you have to put in just as much, if not more work for some people
yeah,
for like a return that isn't instant and is way down the line. And I think
yeah,
that's what separates good bodybuilders and people that make a lot of progress versus you're like, 20-year local level guy that's, third in the middleweights every year. Like
yeah.
just because they don't want it. The second, dude, I know so many people, man, the second they like lose a vein, they're like, oh my God, Clem. And I'm like,
I
dude, like
follow a
chill.
younger guy, and I'm not going to say his name. He might be a great guy. He's got a good look to him. But he made a post recently about how like he got, and I'm not shitting on anybody, dude. I've been there. I've
Yeah.
been along my journey. I've been at all these different points. But this guy's, kind of makes a celebratory post about how he's 220 now, and then continues on to say like it's really uncomfortable, and I think long term the best move would be to downsize. Like downsize, brother. First, you have to upsize. Like you don't get to downsize if you've never been up. Like, um, and
Can
so
I
it's
get
just
I
like,
get that? I mean, I was 220 my senior year in high school. Like, what are we talking about here?
yeah, right. What are we talking about? Like that's like you look good. He's got some good shape on him and stuff. So I understand, but then it's like, man, like just listen to the term that you're using, downsize. There's like it's never been up. You know what I mean? So it just speaks, I think, to the people that really, and not everybody wants to be huge. Some people look good at
Yeah.
lower body weights or whatever the
100%.
case is. Not this is not for everybody, but like if you, for the people that listen to this and are trying to take something away from it in terms of like being big, just know it's a long, you're playing the long game, dude. Like it's months and months of living in, like you talked about, Luke, most of your day you feel uncomfortable. You feel great in the gym, or should most of the time. But then other than that, it's like, man, I feel fat. I'm fucking eating
Yeah.
nonstop. I can't keep my eyes. Like you said, I feel way more until the very end. I feel way more capable in contest prep, like way
I
more
am all in
agile and
prep,
like,
bro.
yeah,
And like as a human being, like as a functioning
that's what I
human being
mean.
of society, like I'm on my shit. In off season, I feel like, dude, I could have like two things to do in a day, and it
It's
feels like I'm so busy because
you
it's
feel
like
like a
all I'm
slug.
doing is
Yeah.
like eating and falling asleep, and I
Yes.
can't get up, and like I'm just like, oh my God, bro.
Luke, you nailed it, man. Honestly, like off season, it's at this level, it's a test of your will. I
Yeah.
mean, talked about how you feel after breakfast. I'll train 3 to 5 clients in the morning from like, 6 to 10 or 5 to 9 or whatever. And then after I put down meal one, which for me is about 150 grams of carbs, 60 grams of protein, 25 grams of fat, it takes every bit of my personal strength to just not crash out. I'll have to get up and go take a walk or
Yeah.
immediately just get into house chores or online work just to put off that inevitable like 3 hour nap that my body is screaming for.
If I'm not,
If I did that, I would go off
actively,
all day.
Yeah.
yeah, if I'm not actively doing something, it's 97% chance I'm falling asleep. Like if I'm sitting down, I will probably fall asleep. And
For
I
sure.
like, dude, even like there's been times like I'm doing work and I'm like at my computer and I'm just like,
The
and then
scary
like
thing
five
for
minutes
me
later, I
is
wake up and I'm at the
like
computer still.
driving. Like I will
Yeah,
purposely try to not take long drives, especially
it's
by
scary.
myself, because I will fall asleep.
100%. So like,
All right, let's do some questions.
yeah,
This guy says, please do not mention my name. I usually don't. I don't think I usually do
yeah,
for
I don't
this
think you do.
reason, but basically about orals and contest prep. Have you guys ever used Proviron at high doses, for example, 100 milligrams coming into a show? I'm also planning on using 100 milligrams of Winstrol the last couple of weeks instead of going with the usual 50 Anavar, 50 Winstrol. I feel Anavar is more of a performance based. In your experience, are the other two more cosmetic? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think both of those doses and both of those compounds run together sound pretty standard, especially towards the last end.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I
And do you
think,
feel like visually that's like those are the two big hitters?
Yeah, I do think so. And preferentially, I would probably lean into the Winstrol over the split with the Anavar. Yeah, that's just personally what I see tends to really, really make physiques really, really change in those last 3 to 4 weeks. I don't see quite as significant of a cosmetic change with the Anavar. So for me, Anavar, if it's going to be used, might be like an
Yeah.
early into the oral component, like maybe from weeks
Like 8 weeks out or something.
4, right? From
Yeah.
weeks to 4 potentially, if we want to go that route. But I'm not writing that all the way in typically.
Ty, you personally, what do you think about Anavar? Like, how do you like it?
I mean, I would say personally, I'm probably a non-responder to it. I mean, there's a chance that I just
Really?
given it the ample dosing that it needs, which could be for me upwards of 100 milligrams. But
Yeah.
at 50 to 75 milligrams, I think it's fairly mild. I don't receive the CNS driven training boost that I hear a lot
Mm,
of people talk about as well. In fact, I think I'm largely a non-responder to orals from a training perspective, but I
mm.
love what they do from a fullness and super saturation standpoint. But then when I think about Anavar coming in so late in the game, we've got other things that are going to drive fullness to a way better degree than the Anavar. So I'd rather just keep that out and probably lean on Superdraw.
Mm.
I'm a
Okay.
Superdraw guy for sure.
Interesting. Okay. Man, I almost wonder then it's like I hear that and I'm like, you hear things that are so the complete opposite. Then anytime someone says like, nope, that just doesn't work, or nope, whatever, like I don't respond to that. I just wonder, are you getting the real thing, or have you ever had the real
That's
thing?
very possible. So
You know?
I feel like Anavar is one of those tricky compounds where, not to delve too deep into like sources and pricing and stuff, but you'll come across some sources where it's somewhat in line with a lot of the other orals, and then you'll come across other sources where it's 3 to 4 to
Yeah.
5 times the price. And I have actually never pulled the trigger on one of those. So I suspect that maybe I've never gotten the Anavar that I think I've gotten. It's
And
very
then
possible.
the other half of why I said that is I coughed up the money and got Anavar from a compounding pharmacy
Mhm.
at one point. And dude, I put that in, I think I was 12 weeks out from the show or something. So still like, like a good composition for the off season. It's not like I'm crazy lean. And I
Mhm.
did 20 milligrams. And this is after running other underground sources, 75, 100. And
Mhm.
like I was like, man, I don't know about this. Like, this is pretty expensive if it's not going to do much.
Mhm.
I paid like a premium to get it from a compounding pharmacy, and I was taking 20 milligrams pre-workout, and it was fucking electric, dude. It was insane. Like nothing, like no other steroid effect that I've ever gotten.
So here's the peculiar thing. I often hear people suggest that the cheaper Anavar is typically probably just Winstrol,
Yeah.
but I feel like I always notice Winstrol like within 24 hours. So I don't speculate that it was that either. So I don't know what it was at
It
all.
could be D-ball. It could have been nothing, dude. But who
Mm.
knows? I don't know. Luke, any thoughts on like the idea of these drugs, like cosmetically, or what you like?
Yeah, so I like Proviron. I use Proviron in pretty high doses throughout prep. Uh, I think it's pretty mild. Obviously, it's not like directly anabolic, but
Right.
I think it does elicit some sort of a cosmetic effect. Where I just feel like you kind of get this like cleaner. I don't know, like it's hard to explain.
It's
Like a
kind of
lot
a
of like I
fibrous
know,
look, I feel like.
yeah, and kind of everything pops a little bit better, and you
Yeah.
start to just kind of get, I don't
I
know, your
love it.
skin texture kind of changes.
Yeah.
But I've gone up, 100, 125. I think even at one point in one prep, I touched 150 milligrams.
Yeah.
But usually around 100, 125 is where I'll finish. I'll titrate up to that. But that'll start pretty early on, honestly. Like I'll probably start that like 10 weeks out,
Yeah.
just because of how mild it is. And then I would definitely opt for Winstraw over Anavar for a cosmetic effect at the end of prep for sure.
Yeah. I
That
want to ask both of you guys
I
a
wasn't as sold. What's that, Ty?
I was going to ask both you guys a question about Previrin after this, but keep going.
Um, yeah, I used to do more of the split dosing, like some Anavar, some Winstrol, because I was like, it doesn't really matter. But I definitely think when AIs are in place and you're really drying out, like, and you start to push that Winstrol dose up 50, 100, 150 milligrams, um, maybe bring in a little bit of halo, like that look does start to really
Oh,
change
now we're
at
talking.
the end of
Hell
prep.
yeah.
All right, so
Yeah,
my
so
question, guys. So obviously we all use about the same stuff as we're getting ready for a show, especially once we're around that 4 week out mark. From my perspective, I think it can be pretty difficult to really ascertain what's doing what when we have the mix of the Proviron, the Winstrol,
for sure.
tren involved, anti-estrogens. So my question to you guys, have you ever taken Proviron in an off-season setting and potentially used it in place of either Masteron or Primobolan to potentially get your Nandrolone in check or just to get a better conversion of your testosterone, just to see what the efficacy of that Proviron was like?
I've been doing it all year.
Okay. I haven't.
But
You
you
have
have
been,
one
Joe?
right now.
I've been doing it all year. I
Okay.
take it all year. I love it. I think it's especially for someone like me. I like I talked about this off air with you guys, but I am just someone that aromatizes heavily for whatever reason. And
So,
it's changed. It's changed as I've gotten more muscular. It's changed as I've stayed leaner. Obviously, you aromatize less the less body fat that you have. So as I've matured in bodybuilding, it's to a lesser degree, but I still would say I get a more pronounced estrogenic effect than what a dose on someone else, what you might expect.
yeah, I think that's a lot more of a useful appraisal of Proviron than what we get from a competitor in a contest prep setting. Because
Sure.
again, the kitchen sink component is just really hard to isolate.
So I'll push back on that. The only way I agree, but the only I would say there is a way that if you do things that you can get a pretty good idea whether you're athlete or coach, and that's just to layer them in at different times. Because
Mhm.
I feel like it's pretty standard, like 4 weeks out, okay, now the mother load comes in and it's all everything's changed and we put all the tools in. um, I kind of like from that 4 week out mark, like if someone's on pace, like the visuals are really good, I will layer things in like one at a time. And I check in, at that point with somebody every other day, every third day. So it might not even be a week apart, but I might put Proviron in at 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams for 3 days or for a week. And then say, okay, at this point, now we're going to bring in the Winstrol. So it's the same thing like what I went through when I trialed all these peptides. People are like, oh, how do you know? And for the most part, it's like, man, I'm throwing the kitchen sink at it. I really don't know. But if you do them one at a time and just see what each one of them does on its own before you add them, if you're pretty self-aware, I feel like you'd be able to tell. And then visually, it does make a difference.
I like what you said about layering them in. I would ask though, do you feel like even just a 3 day window is enough time for you to see merit?
I think so. I think with orals they are. I see a difference like in 24 hours, like by the set. So I will do like in contest prep. In my mind, it's like all about a visual effect. So
Hmm.
I want it to be as stable as possible. I'm not caring about a big flux pre-workout and then none the rest of the day. That doesn't do anything for me. It's
Hmm.
cosmetic. So I just want it to be even. So I take all my orals half in the morning, half before bed. Dude, by that second morning, when I take like at that point my third dose, I will go to the gym that day and look different. And same thing with someone else. Like if I have someone send me pictures 3 days later after adding an oral, yeah, they will look like, given that I didn't refeed them at the same time or something, you know what I mean? Everything else stayed the same. I
Yeah,
definitely
it's the
think
only
so.
variable.
I like that, man. I'm gonna put that in the tool bag. I like that.
Yeah, dude, I notice it. I know you with orals and even with something like, if one of the variables for 3 days is just more clenbuterol, for example, you should notice a difference. At that point, somebody should be humming and they should be very sensitive to any little change, whether it's fluids, orals, whatever. You should be able to see it on somebody if they're
Yeah,
following the
that's one of the
plan and
most
like,
fun parts about prep is how
yeah,
sensitive you are to like everything that you
100%.
throw in. Yeah.
And that was kind of that caveat too. Like I was in a prep setting when I tried that Anavar. So it's like I went from not using any orals and food's coming down. Maybe training doesn't feel the same. And then I put this like pharmacy Anavar in, and it was like, dude, I think maybe the first time or first week that I used Anadrol might have felt similar, like in terms of like just pumps and fullness. Um, but so anyway, I will just add to this. These are very like common doses. I'm not trying to sound like the drug pusher, but him,
Yeah.
mentioning that they might be 50 or 100 milligrams a day. This is very common for competitive
Yeah.
bodybuilders. This past prep, I run everything by Justin, but I kind of make calls on my own. And one of them was that I wanted to trial more of like an AJ Sims style peak, from what I hear at least. Of course, he might do something different with every person, but taking some spices from his playbook, I did 200 milligrams of Winstrol and 200 milligrams of Proviron into the final, like starting like 8 days out. And best prep that I've ever had, most muscle that I've ever had, all of that considered, it was definitely the best I've ever looked. It was the craziest I've ever looked in terms of
I would say
fullness and dryness.
I
So
would say this too,
it's
and I might have said this on here, or maybe it was a different podcast, but like that last 7 to 10, maybe 14 days, like if you want to take your orals up, just fucking take them up. Like if it's
yeah,
gonna elicit a better look, like it's not gonna kill you to fucking,
yeah.
take 200 milligrams of Winstrol for 7 fucking days, but like it
It's
will
so
change the
short
way you look.
term. It will
Yeah, it
change
will
how you
change the
look.
way you look. So I'm not really worried. Like if you're trying to stay on that stuff for the last 5 weeks of a prep, that's a different story. But if you're talking about 7 to 14, 7 to 10 days, you can't really, you're not going to kill yourself with that kind of stuff.
No,
You'll kill yourself with diuretics and fucking
right.
that shit up, but you're not
Yeah,
going to kill yourself with Winstrol in 7 days. So
no. And
you don't
that's
really
more
have
than
to
enough
worry.
time, dude. Honestly, if I
Yeah.
like, because people have heard me say that I did that with myself this past year,
Yeah.
there are times then that clients are like, hey, can we try this or whatever? And it might not be the same exact numbers, but the idea is the same. And like you said, dude, in that case, like I'm way more, I don't want to say reckless, but I'm way more,
Dude, you don't care, bro. Straight up. Like I don't give a
I'm
fuck.
less worried about risk on myself than I am with someone else.
Yeah.
So with someone else, I might put one of them in at 14 days out and then the other one in at 8 days out. And we're just gonna ride. That is more than enough time, dude. Like you're gonna look like you've been on high dose orals for a long ass fuck,
I,
like for everything that you're gonna get from it.
I have to caveat that with saying you have to be shredded. Like
Of
if
course.
you're
Yeah.
if
You gotta be
you're
ready.
not in shape, yeah, if you're not in shape and you're trying to mask it with 200 milligrams of Winstrol,
No,
that's not going to work.
it's not going to look
So
the
like,
same. Like you have to
it's not
have
going to
the
look the
look
same.
on your own. And then
Yeah,
this type of protocol absolutely enhances
Yes,
everything that you
for
want
sure. For
from your
sure.
stage physique, right? Like,
For sure.
um, so I love it. Yeah, I'm
Yeah, I recommend it, to be honest.
yeah, it's a great, I mean, like for that person that is ready to go, then now you're going to talk about different body types. Like, okay, they got all the body fat off, but maybe you're just a little bit more of a watery person, something like that, or that type of protocol, plus maybe something more aggressive with AIs. Like, I very rarely, dude, in the time that I've done this, I very rarely see a need to ever use diuretics. Like, even if things didn't go exactly how you thought, there are these other tools that will do a similar looking job
Yeah.
without the risk of it completely fucking it up.
Yeah.
Like the
Also,
last minute diuretic is just the fucking dice toss. Like, this might land
also,
and it might fucking not.
and when using them, I found a lot of people do this and it doesn't make sense to me. I don't. So like if the most I've ever won is like an eighth of
Yeah,
like an HCTZ or like
yeah,
maybe a quarter. And that's just because like if I'm carving up really hard, I just kind of want to move things.
sure.
Um, but what I don't understand what a lot of people do, and I feel like people have done this for a long time, is they'll take it before bed and then like cross their fingers and pray they wake up dry.
Yeah,
Whereas
exactly.
I'm
Wake
just
up
like,
flat.
that is to me, that's a recipe for disaster because you're just praying and hoping. I'll
Yeah,
take it like if I'm on stage on Saturday and I'm carving up on Friday, I'll take it at like 1 p.m. on Friday and
yeah,
then kind of see as my meals go on and the day goes on, what's my look doing, right? Do I
right,
need a little more? Is this plenty, right?
right.
And then you can monitor things from there, what to do with water, what to do with food, and everything like that. Whereas, like, so many people, I feel like they take it before bed and then they just like pray they wake up just like dry as fuck. And it's like,
Yeah.
you could also wake up small and shitty. So,
Like
like,
beyond repair
it's just,
too. There's no coming
yeah.
back
And
from that.
at that point, you're not looking at yourself every fucking hour. So it's
No.
like, and you're not feeding every hour. You're trying to get some sleep. So, um, I never understood that approach. So if I am using it, I'm using it more during the day so I can actually monitor what the hell's going on.
Yeah. All right. Um, Oh man, this guy is not familiar with the show. So he writes in and says, um why is Primo or Masteron better than EQ?" J3 says that all antibiotics are equal. Obviously, that's not true, but would you say that 1,000 test 500 EQ is better than 500 tests or 1,000 Primo? What do you guys think? Side note, I don't know why he singled me out, but he said, "What is Joseph's current cycle?" Um, I'll tell you guys at the end. I guess we can all just fucking share secrets and talk about our cycles. But what do you guys think about
What is he?
this?
Re
So
He
the
said,
two
"What's
yeah, one more
better?"
time.
two scenarios, yeah, like a gram of test and 500 EQ, or 500 megs of test and a gram of Primobolan. He's basically trying to compare, like in off-season purposes, are we going like a DHT or EQ?
Never, never going to be a low test high DHT guy. Never. Um,
Never.
so I'll just leave it at that. I will also say, like, the typical everybody is different thing. So I mean, what works for you can work for you. Some people just don't like EQ. I mean, I haven't. This is the first time I've used EQ. I'm currently using it in like 5 years. I've
Yeah.
always been my off seasons have always been test, Nandrolone, and Masteron. Like that's always been what
Yeah.
I've run.
What's
And
how's it
eventually
been so
welcome into
far?
so far it's been good. I mean, I opted for it because obviously there's a fucking shortage of everything mass and
Sure.
primo wise right now. But I was like, if there's a good time to try it again, it's probably right now. And I have no complaints. I think before when I ran it as a standalone, which I don't think I respond that well to equipoise. Like I respond well to Nandrolone though.
Yep.
So when I stack it with MPP, I think it works well. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I think it comes down to the type of person you are. Like Joe said, he's a heavy aromatizer. Maybe if you're a heavy aromatizer, super, super high test might cause you some issues or whatever. I don't know. But I'm always going to be a test first guy.
Yep.
And then build around that. Take your testos up and then build around that. But that's personally what I like.
Ty?
Yeah, like Luke, I'm a Nandrolone guy over EQ. I don't personally have a lot of great experiences with EQ, and
Mm,
downstream I apply it with clients. Typically doesn't go nearly as well as when I introduce Nandrolone for long-term growing periods. Now, to this guy's question, when I think about it, I'm thinking about whether the athlete that we're going to apply this to is somebody who still needs a lot of mass or somebody who's a little bit more seasoned. If it's somebody who needs a lot of mass, we're definitely going to want to lean with the high testosterone, with the lower secondary anabolic, whether that is the EQ, Nandrolone, Primo, that's definitely a better ratio with the 2-to-1. Now, if we're looking at somebody who's a little bit more experienced, has a little bit more size, they might find a little bit more benefit from keeping the testosterone just a little bit lower for the sake of keeping health markers in check, keeping body weight in check, external water in check. And they might benefit a little bit more from going a little bit higher with the Primobolan. But I'll also say, like Luke, I'm not one of those low test, high anabolic, safe for use guys. I would still want to see the base testosterone dose higher than 500 milligrams. But yeah, I mean, I love a gram of Primo for certain guys considering the circumstances. If it's a seasoned guy, someone who needs 2 grams or more, for the off season for their total milligrams, I love a gram of Primo in there.
I don't necessarily dislike. I do think Primo is probably lowest on the injectable totem pole for me in terms of growing tissue. But if it agrees with
That's
you,
one.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I just find it to be so benign. Like I just for the cost and the risk that goes
Cost
with
isn't
it,
cheap.
even when you
Yeah.
get the real thing, it just I've described it to Luke. We've talked about it, and he felt this way previously using EQ. But I just feel like when am I going to feel like I'm on? Like I've
Yeah.
So
you
that's
know.
that's me with the Masteron. Masteron feels
Hmm.
completely fine to me, even at 800 or 900 milligrams, which I've experimented with.
So I've run Master on quite a bit higher than Primo. So maybe that's why I say that. In general, I think it's not ridiculous to say that they're very similar. Um,
Yeah.
I think a gram of either of those is totally fine if you need to take 2 or 2.5 grams and the rest of it is testosterone. One thing that I have a very difficult time signing off on is that the testosterone is lower than whatever else you're using. That's kind of the big
Yeah.
takeaway of what I would have of what my philosophy would be. I
That was what
think
I was getting at with me too.
in terms of how you feel outside of the gym, in terms of how you perform in the gym, in the bedroom with your lady, all of the above, like there is a host of benefits that come from being on high testosterone, like in terms of wanting to be the type of guy that does the things that we do. Um, with all that said, like you said, the best answer to all of this is something that you just mentioned in passing, Ty. You're like, is this someone that needs to be way bigger or wants to be way bigger? Or is this someone that's already really big and they're kind of just refining the look, so to speak, right? Kind of cliche to say, but it's true. The point that I want to make off of that point is that I am yet to come across someone that is impressively big that spent years using only a low testosterone approach. When that person comes along, I will be willing to listen to what their experience has been.
I
Until
agree.
that person comes along,
1,000%.
all of the biggest physiques, all of the guys that I look at and say, man, I'd love to look like that, or I would love to be that size, they built their physiques on high testosterone cycles. So it just makes sense to me to do that. I want to be that big. So this is what those guys do.
Yeah. 100%.
Um, he asked what my cycle is. I just adjusted it. I'm feeling a little froggy. I'm also my off season is ending up being quite a bit longer than what I had originally planned because I ended up picking a later show if I am going to compete. So I still have I'm 10 or maybe 11 weeks in now. I still have another 12 weeks of off season to go. I was somewhat reaching a point where the first 8 weeks of my cycle was the most insane time I've ever had as a bodybuilder. It felt like a post show rebound. The 3 weeks since, I've had a lot going on in my life. I've traveled. So even when you're hitting the mark, it doesn't feel like the momentum is quite the same. Um, and so I haven't exactly felt the same. And then the bro side of me is like, okay, basically I'm halfway through. I'm just going to completely change the design of the cycle. So, the first half of the cycle, very high test and the highest level of Nandrolone ever. At one point, I was on 1,200 milligrams of combined nandrolone between DECA and NPP.
How do you feel?
In general, I felt pretty good as the numbers started to, like, I think past 900, tough to say because there was a lot going on in my life, but past 900, I started to feel more blue as a
So I was gonna say
standard.
that's a common thing with Nandrolone is like that depressive,
Yeah.
blah feeling where like
Yeah.
nothing
I
really
mean,
excites you.
that is kind of how I started to feel, I would say, for the
Yeah.
last 2 or 3 weeks. But in
Okay.
general, I think it was very productive and it was awesome. With all that said, I just changed my cycle. I'm on, we're going to be starting, whatever you want to say, 2 grams of test, 700 Masteron. And this is like lab tested stuff. I made sure beforehand. Um, what I just posted this. Oh, 200 milligrams of EQ. And I'm thinking about that more as um, like AI insurance because
I was gonna say, yeah,
it has a crazy potent effect on my estrogen.
it does,
So
yes.
knowing that I'm running like higher mass and EQ also, I wanted to be cautious, even with the elevated amount of testosterone. And then hopefully Kelsey doesn't listen to this, but I am putting 140 mgs of tren in.
Oh boy.
Trenonanthate. I'm going to do 20 mgs a day of trenonanthate. Um, which I'm just joking. She'll love it as much as I do. So, um, but yeah, I'm gonna try. It's been a long time since I ran like off season trend. It's been a
It's
very long
insane.
time
I want to do it again.
since I ran like a long ester trend. And the idea behind that is just like anything else off-season drug-wise, you want things to reach like a peak concentration and then stay there. It's more stable. I'm thinking the idea is if it's more stable and less volatile than like a acetate, um, maybe I'll get less sides, or maybe I'll get no sides, whatever. Maybe it won't affect my sleep. So I'm
I
gonna
want to
try it,
do
but
that
it's
again.
different than what I was doing in previously, like we've talked about it, Luke, with this like fake synergy shit. But
Yeah.
with this current setup, every like family tree of anabolics is represented. So that a fuck ton of GH, a fuck ton of food,
Yeah.
Increlix, you fucking name it.
It's fucking beauty, bro.
Yeah. What Luke, what is yours? Do you care do you want to skip?
Yeah. It's just test, EQ, and MPP right now. My test, I think I might have mentioned this on the last episode we did, but like I think 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
I got it bumped to 250 test every other day, which is what, like
Eat
nine
something,
something,
875, maybe?
875, 900
Okay.
maybe,
Yeah,
yeah, something
whatever.
like
We sound like
that.
meatheads,
And
but yeah.
then and then yeah, and then the EQ and the NPP are both at 150 milligrams every other day.
Oh, okay. Oh, I
So
like that.
and then yeah, so that's where I'm sitting right now. Like I said, I'm getting close to my fifth week, but I'm 4.5 ish weeks in. So
This next
uh
10 days for you, you're gonna feel like, holy fuck, I'm on.
yeah, yeah, because that bump was like two
The
weeks ago.
pumps
So
and your appetite and shit are about to, you're gonna feel it move forward on you.
yeah, I've got a good feeling. I'm
And what are you
starting to
waking up
feel
at?
like you said, I'm waking up still,
288?
dude. I'm like holding like 285, yeah, in the morning.
Okay. Fuck, dude.
Um,
Nice.
but I'll have like fluctuations. Some mornings I'll be 286, 287. Some mornings I'll
Yeah.
randomly drop to 282. Like I traveled last week. For some reason, when I travel, I drop weight all the time. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And so I dropped a couple pounds, but like the second I got back to Florida, stabilized back like 285. Um, but I like hold a shit ton of fluid throughout the day and I eat a lot of food.
Sure.
So and I'm walking around during the day at 290.
Then
I
you're
mean, like
just
after
an
my first
enormous person, dude. Like,
after my first meal, I'm already 290. So
yeah.
and then I'll go to sleep like in the like 292 ish and drop when I sleep a good amount. But I just got to
Okay.
keep driving this shit. My appetite's still in a good spot. I don't know if and when there's going to be a food bump. I'm sure at some point there will be,
Yeah.
um, because I can still eat, and I'm really trying to make this push for 300. And I'm not like, I mean, I'm not lean, but I'm not like obese.
No, yeah. Not
Um,
obese. That's the whole idea.
so yeah, that's all that matters. So we'll see what happens in the next couple. Like I said, I got another probably I don't know, fucking 15 weeks. So plenty of time.
Hell yeah. So 15 weeks, that's the rest of the off season. That means that you're on a timeline. Did you pick a show?
No, so this is kind of where we're at. So like I've got a couple different people like in my ear, like trying to tell me what to do, giving me advice. Derek's been one of them. He's very adamant about me like competing this year. He really wants me to get on stage this year and like ride the momentum and stuff and start to get my name out there. And it's just tough because of the way the schedule is, bro. It's like
I
if
think
I
that's
don't
good advice.
compete,
I think he's pushing you in the right direction.
yeah, I like he's like because him I was talking to him and Grego Matt, and they're like, look, like I know they understand my thought process, right? Like I don't want to just like I've said, I don't want to look like an
Right.
amateur on a pro stage and just get brushed to the side. Like I'm not going to sit here and be, oh, I'm going to win my pro debut or place top five. I just want to be noticed. Like I just want the judges to be like, who's that kid? Like what's his name, right?
Man, I think you're
As long
closer
as
than
I'm
you
getting,
realize size wise. Like you
yeah,
you won a pro
bro,
card as a
it's
super heavyweight.
yeah, I know. It's just hard. It's so hard to like, dude, I don't know what I look like. Like I just have no idea. I can't
You
grab
have
and like
people
that's why
though
I kind
that
of want to
know
get on
what the fuck is
stage.
up and they're telling you.
Yeah, I know. And that's what's cool is like I don't know if you guys know Eric Wildberger too.
Yeah.
But he's the classic guy. He's moving into open and
Yeah. Oh, is
like
he?
he was
Oh
posting.
shit.
Yeah, he's doing open, bro. He's 300 pounds. I
Is
don't even
he?
know. Yeah, I don't even know how
Is he
he's got
German?
glute lines.
I think
Brazilian.
he's like German Brazilian.
Oh, okay,
He's
okay.
Brazilian, but he looks and kind of sounds German, but he's Brazilian. Yeah.
Wow, what
He's
a
down here
trip.
now. He's down here now, and like he was posing the other day, and like him and Matt grabbed me to come have take a look at him because like they're like because he's trying to get big, so they're like telling me to give him food advice, and I'm like me, I'm like you guys are fucking Olympians, right?
Luke, how tall?
Um, he's tall, he's like 6'1", 6'2". Um, but it's hard to know, bro. Like, because like I'll see myself in pictures next to some of these guys, and I'm like, I'm kind of angling them, or like I'm bigger than them. But
Yeah.
like, when I look at myself, I'm like, it just I don't know. That's why I need to get on a stage, really, is because I need to
Yeah.
kind of know where it is.
What's is there anything in the US after Tampa?
No, bro.
Is that the last one of the year?
Yeah, it's August. It's the Tampa, Linda Murray, and Texas. That's string of shows.
Does Linda Murray
And
have
then
open
there's like
though?
in Mexico. There's like
Mm,
Mexico, but like that show was didn't hear the best things about.
sure.
I don't know when Puerto Rico is. I think that might be in the spring. They used to have the Legion after the O, but now that's
Right.
in the spring. I
Right.
don't know why they decided to move it to the spring too. There's already
Yeah,
enough
that was
shows
always
there.
after that was always like November.
Yeah,
I
and
feel
now they
like.
moved that to the fucking spring. So, to my knowledge, now that I've heard some rumblings of like there might be some new shows coming about whatever. I don't know anything set in stone yet, but as far as I've seen and heard, that like shows after August in North America are done. Everything goes to Europe,
So then are you
other
shooting
than
for
Mexico.
Tampa because it's in your backyard?
If I like, this is the thing.
Tampa and
This is kind of
Texas
where I'm
is
at,
good to hit back to back.
bro.
Look at
I
what
would
Joe
love to
Palacios
do,
did last year.
bro. I would love to do it because I know people in Texas too. Because I lived there in 2023,
Yeah.
and also that Linda Murray show. It's in Atlanta. It's
Do they have
close.
open? I think it's just
Yeah.
classic.
No,
Oh,
no, it's open. This is the first year
oh,
they're doing open.
oh, no
So,
shit.
and that's right in between the two. So that's
Oh, they're not
they're
back
all
to back
back to back
now.
weekends. Yeah.
Oh, oh,
So,
wow. I had no idea they changed that.
or they might be back, whatever. Those three shows are consecutive weekends.
Yeah.
So I forget the exact order of the three, but those three are consecutive weekends. Um, and that's like
Bro,
at the
even if you
beginning of
just end up
August.
doing two of them, even if you
Yeah.
timing wise, you end up doing Tampa and then Linda Murray, because that's just up in
Well,
Georgia.
that's what Derek and Matt were telling me. They were like, dude, like you just need to pick a show because I guarantee you the second you commit to say, oh, I'm going to do the Linda Murray or I'm going to do Tampa, like
Yeah.
your mindset, you're going to flip.
Well,
And I
it's
was like,
man, I
well,
tell
in my
people
head, I'm
all the
like, in my head, I said the same thing. I was like, you're 100% right. Because if I think about, oh shit, my pro debut's in August, I ain't going to miss a fucking beat. Like I got to be, you know what I mean?
man,
Um,
people have heard me
but
say this. I'm such a big advocate of guys competing too. Like you make the
yeah, so am
biggest
I
leaps of
though,
progress when you compete. Like you'll
dude.
diet down, you'll see what it is. You're not going to get
Bro,
punched in the face. You're not getting locked in a cage with somebody else. You're just going in bodybuilding. And
I
then you're going
don't,
to go put on another 15 pounds. Like,
I don't believe in. I think there's a time and place for certain longer off seasons,
yeah,
but I've done them before, And there's definitely a point of diminishing returns once you hit a certain point where you're literally
100%.
just wasting time. You're taking drugs, you're eating food, and you're like making no progress. And it's not that you're doing anything wrong. It's just like
No,
your
you're just
body's like
fat.
saturated as fuck.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you just need that. You need to go the other direction for a while. And there's so much that comes from competing that benefits you as a bodybuilder, even the intricacies of like tanning and posing and peaking and like all these kinds of things that people don't even think about, and they want to like wait until they're ready to turn pro to compete, and it's like that's never going to work because you're going to get there and then you're going to fuck your tan up, or you're not going to know how to pose,
Right.
or you're going to fucking travel to a show and forget this, that, and the third. Like there's so many small things that happen when you actually compete too that you have to learn how to handle backstage, right? That's a huge thing.
Yeah.
It's a fucking mind game backstage, especially at like the national level. Everyone's a fucking freak. Like you have no idea. Dude, I didn't think the second I got backstage at the Amateur Olympia, I was like, oh, I lost
Yeah.
immediately. And then I like literally texted Nate. I was like, oh, there's this fucking guy here and this fucking guy here. He was like, dude, like literally lie down and look at the ceiling. And I
Yeah.
did. And then I was fine. But like it's this these are things that like if that's your first show or your first go, you'll get in your head, you'll psych yourself out. So there's even that kind of stuff that's benefits you to compete. But
100%.
I don't want to take the year. I mean, I really, initially we had planned to do a debut in 26. Um, it's just hard with the way the schedule is to have enough time to grow through this
I
off
think it
season.
takes, I honestly just feel like the timeline is totally fine for you. I don't think you needed 18 months of off season. Like, I don't think you're that far
Yeah,
behind to have a presence. I'm not saying for you to go win your pro debut, but you're going to look
right,
like a pro
right.
bodybuilder amongst other pro
Yeah,
bodybuilders. Like,
yeah,
I think too, there's something, um, yes, like we talked about, building muscle is a long-term process, all this stuff, but also like, I am a big believer just from seeing in real life what happens when you let a body get used to being out of bodybuilding shape for a long time. It doesn't respond the same the next time that you ask it to do this. So you get in and get out. You have a good productive off season, but it's not overly long, and then you go right into prep. And I think there are pounds of stage tissue to be gained just from having a good prep and a sensitive body. Like you've
I
added
think,
what you've added, but then how much do you keep? If you have a
yeah,
good process, you're going to end up keeping a lot more of it.
I think like I said, it's kind of right now. It's going to be like basically we'll probably start to assess and make a real call on that in the next coming weeks, seeing how
Yeah.
my body responds. Now that I'm
Yeah.
back on and stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
then the other thing too is I have never gone from an off season cycle into a prep. I have always done a health phase before prep, always.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would be another determining factor would be I'd have to get blood work done and make sure that I'm good and not necessarily needing 6 to 8 weeks off before starting a prep. Because if that's the case, then that makes my timeline even more difficult.
That makes
Um,
it tough. I feel
you
like that
know,
just sets up a good prep too.
yeah,
Besides besides the health aspect of it, I feel
yeah.
like those periods set up a good
Yeah, we've talked about
process.
that, just the
It's
mental too of
difficult.
like,
Well, that and it's difficult to force a body 100 miles per hour in one direction and then on a dime turn it around and say go 100 miles an
yeah,
hour in the other direction. I think that little
yeah, and
holding period in the middle sets it up like to respond.
that's why I'm struggling because I'm indecisive as far as like I can make an argument for to do the August shows or to do like Detroit of next year,
Of next fall.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So like it's like because then that could give me plenty of time to grow and come
Man,
off
I
and
kind of like that idea, to
solidify
be
a
honest
little.
with you. I kind of
Yeah.
like the idea
So
of Detroit. I feel like it's an awesome venue. The photos are going to be awesome.
yeah,
The media coverage around it is going to be awesome. It's like,
yeah,
other than the Arnold, it's kind of in its own part of the year, right? Instead of just
yeah,
getting
exactly.
lost in the mix. Like,
Yeah,
so it's like a standalone thing. Like you go to Detroit and nail it, and it's in March or April or whatever. There are
yeah,
not shows again until the end of May. That's all anybody is going to talk about.
yeah, yeah. So and also too, I forgot about this. I think it might be around that time. I was talking to Antoine. He was here a couple months ago, and I believe he's going to be putting on a pro show in Montreal in the spring of next year.
Okay.
Um, around that time too, kind of in between like New York and Detroit.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and he was telling me to do it whenever he announces it, whatever. And so, um, that could be cool too to be like, do that as its first year out, whatever, if
Yeah.
things play out. I don't know. But that's kind of where I'm at. I can't make my fucking mind up, to be honest. I wish I knew. I need to make a decision, but it's hard because I feel like August I'd have to rush,
Yeah.
but I don't want to wait until next March, So I'm like,
What is Blue's input?
uh and like he's kind of in the same boat. Like initially he was like, we're gonna do a debut next year. And then when we kind of mapped out everything, he was more like, all right, we're going to take the year off because you got to think about health phase, rebound, this, that, and the third
Yeah.
off season. Oh, now we're already in July, right? And whatever. And he was like, look, I'm trying to do what's best for your career. Like, there's no rush. You're 28 years old, whatever. So
I agree with him. I feel like
yeah,
Detroit sounds like a way better plan.
yeah. So that's probably where I'm going to end up. That's probably what I'll end up
I
doing.
feel like it's a big opportunity. No disrespect to the show or anyone that goes there or anything, but I think it is a really good opportunity, like I said, away from the rest of the season to be a big fish in a smaller pond.
Yeah,
I'm right there with you, Joe. I mean, historically, we see Tampa go like 4 or 5 call outs deep every single year.
Yeah.
yeah,
Even though Detroit has really popped up as one of like the potential like preeminent big shows of the schedule, it
Yeah.
just seemed like collectively the open pros have kind of recalibrated their schedules to be available for that show. So I see a great opportunity for that for you.
Yeah. Like you're going to miss
yeah,
out on most of the heavy hitters, right? Like, I just think that makes way more sense. It's everyone talks about how well the show is run, how awesome the photos, the lighting, the venue are,
yeah,
how great of an experience it is. Like, dude, we all grew up watching that podcast. Like you
yeah,
going and being with all of those guys for the weekend as a
yeah,
solidified open pro. I think the whole thing
yeah,
sounds awesome. And then, dude, yes, like you would expect then that's more time to make progress, but also it's more time to set the whole thing up. Like it's
yeah,
not even just more time to blast. It's like, okay, plenty of time to cruise, plenty of time to set up a prep timeline that makes sense. Like,
yeah, yeah.
um, man, you
It's
get
not
to
rushed. It's not
like it's
rushed.
not
Yeah,
rushed. Like you want to represent yourself
I
as
yeah,
think
highly as you can.
strategically, one of the best things you can do as a new pro with a chance to really make a splash is find yourself in a show where the separation between you and a top guy is slimmer. So,
Yeah.
you with
yeah,
like Jay Cutler getting his opportunity to stand next to Ronnie Coleman in one of the Grand Prix shows after
Yes.
the 99 or the 2000 Olympia, that really set the stage for him to be able to come in there and take that second place. So
It's a
when I
good
think
point.
about
it's
the
true.
Detroit Pro for you, of course, there's going to be 2 or 3 names that come in from the Arnold like we're going to have this year.
Yeah.
But the distance between those two guys and the end of the first call out might not be so great, whereas at
Yeah,
Tampa,
there'll probably be like 15 to 20 guys as opposed to fucking 35 or whatever the
right,
fuck
Bro,
was it.
we were at Chelsea and I were at Tampa. Like I could have flicked Tyler in
Yes,
the ear.
so was I. Yeah,
Oh, okay. And dude,
yeah.
it's like, bro, there are guys that are really good bodybuilders that are third and fourth call out.
Oh, Justin Shire got completely lost in the mix. I was there with Stu. I mean, I was there with his girlfriend, and I picked him up from the airport and whatever. And I was hanging out with him that whole weekend. He was fucking ninth.
Right.
Um,
What
so
was Justin last?
Shire,
Yeah.
I don't think he came back for finals.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure.
Bro, do you
I'm
remember that
pretty sure I
Asian
remember.
guy that was in the same call out as him?
Yes, he was like
Dude,
eighth or something like that. He looked crazy.
yes. He looked crazy. Bro, I remember
Yeah,
seeing the video, even the high quality videos after, like we left and I'm looking at it on my phone. I'm like, man, this guy zero justice. Like in person,
yeah.
that guy
I
blew me
know.
away. Like there are
I know,
there are things that are missing and that he needs to be way
bro.
bigger.
You know
But like
who?
what he had, I'm like, bro, this guy looks unreal.
You know who absolutely blew me away for nothing other than literally looking like a fucking genetically modified beast is Justin Savoy.
oh yeah, he's like
Yes.
340,
He
right?
is so fucking big
He was
and like,
crazy impressive.
bro, and he's in shape.
He was in shape. And he knows
he's
how to
like he looked.
present. Like he knows how to pose. He looks
Yeah, like
good.
he was like 3 times as wide as every other
Yes.
guy up there. Like he made everyone look like he was their father. And I was just like, this is insane, bro. This dude is huge.
Bro, in a pro stage, honestly, I've been to a lot of shows. I've seen a lot of guys. I've
Yeah,
sat close at big shows. Like that might have been the biggest difference from one person to the field that I've ever seen, just in terms of size. He just looked
dude.
like he
Yeah,
was an adult amongst children. It
that's
was
what I'm saying.
insane, dude. That's a
Yeah,
great point. And I was excited to see because I follow both of those guys. He's from Canada, and Morgan McDonald is from
yeah.
Canada.
Morgan's the man. Morgan's a really good dude.
Morgan's awesome from the content that I see at least. He was a
Yeah,
little bit off, and also the thing is, he is for how big and tall he is. Um, he's a pro bodybuilder. He looks unbelievable, but for how
yeah,
big he is, he's kind of narrow at the clavicles. Whereas
yeah. He
like
is a little bit.
Justin's
Yeah,
big and wide, dude. Like
no,
that guy has a.
yeah.
I feel like if he goes somewhere and he's ready from a conditioning standpoint, and they, that's such a big body to figure out like full or peeled, right? But like if he
I
goes
wonder
to
how much food that guy has to eat.
if he goes to a good show and nails it, like I wouldn't be surprised if eventually like that he's like a top guy. Like what is he missing?
Yeah, because I believe that was his debut or close
Yeah.
to it.
Like
Um,
that's a top 10 eventually that's a top 10 Olympian physique, I think. That is like
it
freakazoid, dude.
yeah, it's just the only thing for him is like his waist and overall structure can hold him back a
Yeah.
little, but he's so dude, I kind of wish that he placed higher because I'm like
Yeah.
on my
That's what I
eyes, I'm
mean. He
just like,
just needs to
what
get a
the
look.
fuck? Yeah, I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I wasn't that close to the stage, and I'm like back wherever I was sitting, and I'm just like, this guy, he looks like a fucking building with like a head on
Yeah.
top. Like
Yeah.
it's like he's huge, bro. And I saw him at my 40 one day too, filming, and I was just like, this guy's a fucking mutant, bro.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah. It's weird.
320 in shape.
He's easily the tallest guy that I've ever seen that is like bodybuilding filled out.
Yeah.
Because he's way taller than everyone.
He's
And
got
then
to be like
it's
6'4", right? Something like that.
I would say he's at least 6'3" or 6'4", and then he was
Yeah.
320 or something on stage.
Yeah.
So he's taller than everyone, but then he also looks like he's probably like, in any given second or third call out or whatever, he's also the most muscular guy in the call out. So it's
Yeah.
like overwhelming, like holy shit. All right, let's do
Yeah.
one more and let's get out of here.
Yeah.
If you guys were moving from a cruise period where you just ran tests and then now you're heading into a growing phase with the idea of putting on as much tissue as possible with test and EQ, would you consider running an oral as the EQ settles in?
Hmm.
You go
Ty, tell
first.
me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not against it. I mean, you guys know how
Yeah.
I feel about Anadrol. I'm
Yeah.
definitely not against it. Um, Let me see how I want to layer that in. Hmm.
What was the question? It was basically just like, do you want to run an oral while you're waiting for the EQ to kick in?
Yeah, like he wants to put on as much size as possible. He's coming off a cruise that was just test. He's putting the EQ in at the start of the cycle, and with how long the ester is, he's wondering about like for 4 or 6 weeks running an
You,
oral.
you can. I guess it depends how much time you have in a growth phase. Like if you would have no time to fucking waste, then yeah,
Right.
maybe sure. If not, I'm usually in the camp of like, all right, let's just put the injectables back in first and, let them build up in your blood. And then when we need in the future, if we need an extra kick, we can sprinkle orals in. That's usually how I'll approach orals in an off season. It's kind of like if you want a little bit of an extra boost around training or you need it for whatever reason, maybe just an easier way to maybe add up total milligrams or something. I don't know. But I, yeah, like I said, I think in most cases I wouldn't do that, but I don't think it's necessarily a problem. I just feel like uh is you're not I don't feel like you'll really know. Maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but personally, like if I were to do that and like would then you theoretically be waiting for the EQ to kick in and then you'd pull the oral once it kicks in? Because like what if you're making tons of
Right.
progress? You're gonna want
Right.
to keep riding that oral out, but then eventually you're gonna have to pull it and then your total milligrams come back down. So it's like a weird, I don't know, it's a weird little thing. Like you'd have to really commit to like, all right, I'm only going to take this oral for 3 weeks or whatever.
Right.
to make it make sense in my head. But usually I go injectables first, let it build, and then we'll add.
What'd you settle on?
Yeah, so for me, it's not something that's like a standard approach or standard practice for me, but it's definitely not something I'm against. But I think what really threw me at the start of that question is, what Luke kind of hinted at is, are we essentially putting it in as we're waiting on the EQ? And as I already established earlier, I'm not a huge fan of EQ. So I'm probably not going to find myself or in a situation with my clients where we are waiting for that said EQ to start to really kick. For younger guys, I'm probably going to go ahead and keep that oral out of the equation because we're probably in a state where I still want to find out how are we responding and reacting to individual compounds. And I don't really want to get confusion with the overlap of those two drugs. But for a more experienced guy who's potentially on a shorter timetable of growth, he's got some shows in mind and he wants to see maybe 5 to 7 pounds come on, blood work looks good. I'm not against that at all. Because for more experienced guys, we typically don't have that open-ended, indefinite window of growth that a younger athlete might be encountering. So,
I love the idea. That was like the first thing Luke mentioned, like going into his whole thinking. It's like, well, first off, how much time does he have? I think that's really the whole answer. Like, if you have 10 or 12 weeks to put on a fair amount of tissue, you probably don't have 3 or 4 weeks to let the EQ settle. Like, you need to take advantage of every single week. Every single week is super physiological, one way or another. Um, and then you made a good point, Ty. Like, then what? So what? We get to 4 weeks, and then now we're downgrading our total milligram or our total stimulus. Like, that doesn't really make any sense, right?
mhm.
So, just for the sake of conversation or helping this guy, if he was going to do this, what I would probably do is um, not start the cycle with your injectable peak. Start at somewhere close, but it's not there.
And then
Uh,
a titration around the time that the orals come out. Yep.
exactly.
Because I,
Yeah.
I am a pretty big fan of keeping stable milligrams. And I'll also put a caveat to that in that oral milligrams aren't always the same as injectable milligrams. Obviously, know that
No.
certain orals in just quantities of 10 to 20 milligrams provide the same level of punch as something in the neighborhood of 100 to 200 milligrams. But that being said, when something comes out, I do like to see things stabilize. So, right there with you, I would probably see a titration in whatever secondary anabolic is in play if we're going to kickstart with an oral.
Because then in my mind, it's just it's continuous. There's no wasted weeks. Like, you have weeks 1 through, let's say for the sake of argument, we have weeks 1 through 4 where it's high test and an oral. Weeks 5 through 7, let's say, is now what I started with injectable wise has completely settled in. I pull this oral out. I'm still on test and now whatever this is, EQ or whatever. And then at week 5, I upped it. And so by week 7 or week 8, now that's almost another titrate. There was like these 3 rounds of progress almost, right?
Mhm.
On the flip side, if this is someone, even like age or anything else aside, if this is somebody that has like, they're giving you an open-ended timeline. Like, I want to compete sometime next year. So you have a full off season, you have a full cruise and a full prep. There's no rush. I'm not necessarily like recommending that we start with orals or that we have to put in orals. I kind of I want my guys to feel like it's open-ended. So a lot of times if one of my guys comes to me and says, "Hey, I just got some Anadrol. What do you think about me putting it in?" Like, all right, we can put it in. Like, let's give it a fucking shot, right? Like, if the scenario makes sense. Um, but for the most part, like, I work for these guys, and so yeah, they are paying me for my guidance and my expertise. But most of the time, like, it's like, yeah, okay, like, does the whole situation make sense? Yeah, I just got some D-ball. What do you think about putting this in? Okay, we could try it in 4 days. If you can't eat and we have to pull it out, like, so be it. Um, but no, that's all really good. I think that will help this guy a lot in terms of the full.
I think there's some guys who are going to suggest that why are you going to potentially crash your health markers at the start of an open-ended, long-winded off-season cycle? But to that point, I'm not
Sure.
in the camp that believes that 6 weeks of Anadrol at 50 to 100 milligrams is going to crush your health markers. I think people vastly over-exaggerate the detrimental effects of the off-season orals. So.
even in we were talking about it earlier with Luke with like, high dose Winstrol or Proviron. It's like, guys, it's 2 weeks. Like it might, or it's 1 week. It's 8 days. Like you're gonna
I
be
think
just
I think
fine.
the biggest I think the biggest detriment with off-season orals is appetite, to be
It
honest.
is 100% appetite.
Because I mean, you look at like, dude, I actually used to love this cycle, but now it's like fucking chastised and no one will touch it. Everyone off season was test deca and D-ball. That was
Hell
everybody's
yeah,
off
of
season.
course.
Oh, that was my first couple off seasons. Bro, I used to 30 milligrams of D-ball was all I needed. And I was
Yes.
because so first of all, the strength I got from that shit, I'm convinced half the reason I'm even strong now is because I took that shit like 5 years ago. Like
Yeah.
I would grab dumbbells
It's the
and have to
best,
double
dude.
check what I was holding. And it
Yeah.
was so fun. And it also has an effect on like dopamine secretion too. So like
Yes.
it improves your mood, makes you
Yeah.
happier. And when
Yeah.
our training is good, I'm also happier. So I was just like this big, swollen, happy motherfucker all the time. And it
Yeah.
was great. But now nobody wants to touch D-ball with a 10-foot pole.
Luke, I don't know if
But
you
that was
saw
like
it.
a very common. That's what all these dudes ran in the fucking 90s and shit. Like it was just test deck and D-ball.
Luke, I don't know if you
Um,
saw it. That was Pete's cycle. Pete Harton's last offseason
yeah,
cycle. Pushed him up to 300.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like that's it's no surprise he works with fucking Branch Warren. Like
Yeah.
it's that's what these guys do, bro. Like,
Yeah.
but now it's like it's the same thing with AIs too. Like people are like, oh, like and I don't really use AIs in the offseason either, but people overrate the negative effect they have on your health as if like if
Yes.
you take Arimidex twice a week in the offseason, like you're gonna kill your
I
lipids. It's
know.
like,
God forbid. Yeah.
okay, let's fucking relax. It's not
Right.
like that. You're not taking fucking
Yes.
poison, bro.
Right.
So
It's going to kill your
I
lipids
just
the
think,
same way that doing the safer models use of 400 tests.
Right.
yeah. Oh, but a thousand
Payment.
milligrams of Masteron is
Right.
that's better. It's
Right.
like,
I'm also not
come on,
sold
bro.
that it's like a super negative thing isolated in a vacuum. Like just taking this Arimidex is a negative thing. I think
No.
having your E2 way out of whack in either direction is
Yes.
the problem. So if you
That's
need a milligram of Arimidex every 4 days in the off season, like, dude, let it rip. Like, we did you get in this to be the
that's
fucking model of health, or did you get in this to look like a
yeah.
bodybuilder?
But still, even that, like it's not healthy. Like you use Arimidex to control estrogen to keep it where it
Yeah.
needs to be. Now, before a competition and you want to bottom your shit out, obviously that's not healthy, but we do that for different reasons.
Yes.
But like in an off-season setting,
Yeah.
yeah, estrogen has a lot of benefits. I can run a little higher and feel comfortable. Like my number on blood work, like I can run like 70 and I'm cool.
Yeah.
But that's because I don't notice really any side effects. And it is cardioprotective, neuroprotective, all this kind of stuff. So you do want estrogen. But like if your estrogen gets high, taking a Arimidex a couple times a week to control it, that's not what's going to that's not going to directly tank your lipids. It will if you
No.
bottom your fucking estrogen out and you take too much
Yes.
of it, or you're fucking
Yes.
taking a milligram a day for fucking years on end. Like, but
Yes.
like people are so they like hear this one thing and then they like think like, oh my God, like never touch it. It's the devil. It's like,
Yep.
bro, like cycles used to be written out predetermined with like half a milligram of Arimidex every other day before you even started. You would do your
Yep.
first shot and you're on half a milligram of Arimidex before you even like that's what everybody used to do.
Yep.
So it's the same thing with off-season orals now. People are like, oh, never touch them, this, that, and the third health. And it's like, no, if you're not doing that, then you're probably doing another couple hundred milligrams of something else. It's really not that big of a difference as long as you can still eat your food, you know?
You just need to eat your food, and it's like given that it's a given that this is like a short term thing. Like, guys, I'm not saying I'm
Yeah,
going to run D-ball for the next 14 weeks. I
yeah,
understand if the job is 14 weeks, it needs to be an injectable. I fully
yes,
understand. But adding 4 weeks of this fucking D-ball or this Anadrol, like,
yeah,
are we bodybuilding or not? Like,
yeah, I know. Right?
like this 30
I mean,
milligram D-ball hurts your belly. Like,
yeah, it's
Yeah,
fucking
to that.
annoying,
So
bro.
to that point, when we think about, past eras of bodybuilding,
yeah,
um, I think those guys were a lot more mentally resilient to the potential for side effects.
100%.
I think another
100%.
factor here is the nocebo effect is just really, really potent now, where guys are just anticipating side effects before they come on.
Yes.
And Luke, to your point, I'm not gonna say that, off-season orals don't potentially hit your appetite. They certainly do. But I think what holds a lot of guys back is as soon as that side effect comes into play, they pull it. and they never give themselves a chance to potentially adapt. I mean, we have to remember things like Anadrol, it's a medication, and people take that stuff for 2, 3
Yes.
at a time. I know for me, I run into appetite issues with the Anadrol or the Dianabol within 7 to 10 days. But if I just push through for 3 or 4 of those days, I come back online with the appetite and I'm able to go for another 6 to 8 weeks. And so this last run with the Anadrol
Interesting.
at
Because
100.
I've when I took D-ball and I never had an issue with appetite, I've tried Anadrol twice, and both times I had to pull it for appetite reasons. Only at 50 milligrams. I want to try it again because I haven't tried it. Last time I used it was like 2023, I think, for like
Were you
maybe like two
training like
weeks.
later in the day?
I mean, lately I have been training later than I
No,
usually
then.
like to.
No, then.
Oh no! I usually after 2 meals,
Okay. All right.
but like I'm a later morning person, so like 2 meals for me, that's like the early
3
afternoon.
p.m. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so like, but I tried taking it at different times of the day. I tried taking it before bed. I tried taking it in the morning. I tried taking it
Really?
pre-training,
None of it
different
worked.
stuff. Yeah, as I remember, like, but now that Ty says that, I mean, maybe I could have stuck it out a little longer because I would get like 10 days to 2 weeks in and I'd pull it because I remember being in Dallas. That was the last time I took it and I couldn't even eat In and Out. And I have a fucking
Yeah.
appetite and I'm choking on In and Out. And I'm like, okay, this is not good. And I remember the first time I took it, I was like throwing up my meals. Like I would eat like
Really?
potatoes and then throw. I mean, granted, it was potatoes, but like I'd eat potatoes and then run to the sink and then throw my
Mm.
potatoes back up. And I was like, okay, I don't think this is working either.
I don't
So
agree with you. Yeah.
yeah, so I want to try it again because that's just me being a meathead. And hoping that this time is different and I could just fight through, like you said, and get through that point, and then maybe things will change. Because both times it was right around that 2 week mark where I was just like, I can't, it just isn't working for me, and I pulled it. So
Yeah,
The
I
only
would.
time I ever, oh, go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like for me, like you said, the phrase "fight through," and so
Yeah.
yeah, I had to do that for maybe 2 days. But again, after that point, things were completely normal for me. So I think a lot of guys just don't get a chance to get that adaptation to go into play.
yeah,
One little thing that I would add too, I think in my own experience with orals, it's pretty similar to what my experience has been with GH. Like if you just dive headfirst into an amount, you're going to have side effects. You're going to have the things that they tell you about.
I
If
titrate
you
up
if
slowly.
you can be patient with it, I do find that it ends up being way less. Like Ty, I remember
Yeah,
when we talked, and I think you were on 100 milligrams a day, or maybe you were on
Yep.
50 milligrams a day, and I was on 25 milligrams a day, and I had settled into that. It's something that previously had taken my appetite away. 25 milligrams didn't at all, and then I remember we talked, and then after that I went to 50, and it made no negative difference. I felt insane that was a big jump,
you gotta
but
try that.
I also had been on 25 for 2 weeks. So then I'm like, okay, if I have another 2 or 3 weeks left, let me go to 50. And it made a
That
crazy difference.
is actually interesting because you know how I just said when I took D-ball, I didn't deal with appetite issues.
Yeah.
I now that I'm thinking back, that I started at 20 and titrated up
Yeah.
because I think I had 10 milligram D-ball tabs back
Yeah.
then for some
Yeah.
reason.
That's usually what it
Um,
comes as. Yeah.
yeah, so I started at 20 and I built from there. Whereas Anadrol usually comes in 50s most of the time.
It comes in the big
So
50s. Yeah.
yeah, so I just took 50 out the gate. So maybe that was why. Because I never had an
It's
issue with
potent stuff, dude. Anadrol strong as
yeah,
fuck.
yeah, and I never had an issue with Anavar in off season either. I actually like it.
Yeah.
But I would usually start lower too. Like maybe I would just start with like 25 milligrams pre-training and then build from there.
Yeah.
So like now that you say that, that actually makes a whole lot of sense.
That has been my experience with the GH. Like the times that I went nuts and just decided I was going from 8 to 20 or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, I got insane side effects. Other
Yeah.
times, like even immediately following that period that I had the crazy carpal tunnel, I just started at baseline and worked it back up. I did fucking 2 weeks at 2, a week at 4, a week at 6, a week at 8. I got myself up right as this cycle started. I got myself all the way up to 13. It never made it worse. It never got better and it never got worse.
And we've been real steady. My whole career has been 2 units every like year, basically. I've kind
Yeah.
of just gone up like 2 units every year. and I haven't really dealt with any side effect. When I went from 8 to 10 for the first time, I had some carpal tunnel, but that was
Yeah.
pretty much it. And it's
But you
interesting
work
because
through it,
I
like
think
you
it's
said. Like you might initially get it, but then it's
yeah,
you don't live with it after a
no,
while.
it goes away. Yeah, it goes away. But
All right, boys. I think this is a good spot to pull it. We
yes,
will
sir.
save some of these questions for next time. For Ty Jordan, for Luke Pritchard, I'm Joseph Pritchard. This was the One More Rep podcast. Until next time, guys, we are out.